Hi, I'm Eric Weiss with Full Cycle Product Development. If you're a startup founder or a product manager, this story might sound familiar to you. So in the early days of your product, you were probably doing market research, interviewing customers, and using this data to determine what your MVP was going to look like. You launch your product, you get some traction, things are going great, but at some point things start to get noisy and unclear. You start to launch features that don't get widely adopted. You start to lose customers, and your cost to acquire new customers continues to increase as you have existing customers walking out the door. You got a lot of voices that are driving your product, whether it's yourself or your CEO, whether it's your biggest client or your sales team that has that next big lead on the hook. And there's really no strategy. You might have a list of features, you might have a roadmap, but it seems like or feels like it's more of a guess and check as opposed to a true strategy. So if this sounds like you, then you need a data-driven product strategy. And I've developed a unique methodology for this that I'm going to share with you today. So first, let me give you a little bit of background about myself. So I spent 10 years in the data analytics space at Qualcomm, where I built the most sophisticated model for intellectual property licensing in the world. And that's no exaggeration. So 25% of all patent licensing revenue goes to Qualcomm. And I built a data model that largely drove that strategy. So using enormous amounts of data from various sources to try to understand which technologies and so on would result in the most licensing revenue, and drove that strategy again for a decade. Later on, I became CTO of a tech company that had hit a plateau. They were struggling to reach their next stage of growth. And I helped them leverage their customer data, implement tools like Mixpanel and Full Story and User Voice to gather and observe and collect and analyze customer data to create a data-driven product strategy. We doubled our revenue in the first year, and then we doubled it again in the second year. The last 2 years now, I've been consulting full-time and really focusing on this problem. So for companies that have achieved growth, they're reaching scale, but they're failing to unlock that next level of growth, this is typically the problem. And so this is the methodology that I use to help them overcome that and unlock that next level of potential. So we begin with a scalable customer feedback engine. Okay, and I like to implement what I call contextual micro surveys. So rather than having a really long form customer survey, customer satisfaction survey, if you will, we bake into the product as well as all of the various touch points through sales and customer service and what have you, these real-time contextual feedback loops where, for example, if they run through a new feature, a new workflow, at the end of that, we have a quick little, one question survey that asks them about their experience, leaves some comments or some feedback. If somebody goes through, if they're a sales lead or if they go through the customer service path, there's some product questions baked in there. So we do that at scale, we do it in an organized fashion, and we funnel all that data into some reports that really give us a clear picture of what our customers are asking for. Okay, then we move into user behavior analytics. So tracking events and conversion funnels, and being able to calculate and profile users to try to understand how they behave and why they do the things they do, and how certain groups of customers' behavior differs from others. So what is it about customers who convert versus customers that churn in their behavior? We take all of this information and we funnel it into a data-driven product roadmap. Okay, so I have a sophisticated scorecard model where we capture all of our new feature ideas and we rank them. So similarly to what we do in Agile development, we have a scorecard model that ensures the features that get prioritized are the ones that are going to move the needle the most for our key business drivers of new user acquisition, engagement, retention, revenue, and referrals. So rather than deciding what to build based on our feelings or opinions, we're having a structured, organized debate about what's really going to have the biggest impact to the business. All right. And from there, we have a process of growth hacking experiments on the product, which means our best ideas, our highest potential ideas, get validated through a process of fast, cheap experiments with controlled results so that we can prove the impact against those business drivers before we go off and make any really big bets. All right. And so we bake all of this in together into a process that allows us to scale and gather feedback quickly, to iterate fast, and to most importantly, make sure that we're being efficient with our money, efficient with our development resources, and we're always working on the right things at the right time. Okay. So if this is interesting to you, and if you are struggling to reach that next level, I can certainly help you, and I'm happy to do so. I can help you go from a 7-figure to an 8-figure business, or from an 8-figure to a 9-figure business. These are the methods that the pros use in all of the world-class, name brand products that you use. I've been studying and I've been working in this field for many, many years. And the clients and the companies that I work with that are on the bleeding edge of technology, that are growing explosively and just sort of struggling to get their arms around all the data and all the insights, these are the methods that they use. So if you'd like to talk more about this, if you're interested, I'm happy to do a free one-on-one coaching call or consulting call with you. You just got to go to fullcycleproduct.com and fill out my contact form, or you can just email me directly at eric@fullcycleproduct.com. I'm happy to talk you through this, to understand where you are and how I can help you get to the next level. And so one myth that I want to debunk before we go is this sounds like a lot of work, right? And this sounds like something that only big companies with deep pockets can really implement. And that's not true. So from the very, very beginning, all you need is some free tools like a spreadsheet or a Google form, and just some interesting conversations with your customers. And this can scale up, whether you are using off-the-shelf tools like Mixpanel and Full Story, or whether you're even baking your own or building your own in-app event tracking or customer feedback tools. The sky's the limit. But you can start off small, and wherever you are, I can help you get to the next level and bake in a system that becomes a part of your DNA, so that as you scale and grow, that you always are focusing on the customer voice, pulling that signal from the noise, increasing fidelity on what works, and discarding what doesn't. All right. So please reach out to me, and I'm happy to help. Have a wonderful day.